Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you this third person drawing mechanic I've made and how to create it, so let's get started. So first things first, we need to go into our project settings and at the top in the search bar type in UV and look for this support UV from hit results and make sure that is enabled as true. If it says restart your project, you need to restart it in order for it to activate. Okay, so now that we've done that, next we are going to need to create a few components for this to work. The first one being a canvas render target. So in your content area, right click and go to materials and textures, and in that you want to go to the top and find the canvas render target and click to create that and rename that whatever you want. Okay, now that's done, the next component we want to create, or the next two, is materials. So again, go to materials and make sure to create two. I've named mine whiteboard and whiteboard marker, just to know that the whiteboard will be the canvas and the marker will be what we draw with, what shows up on it. Finally, we can then create our last component, which will be a blueprint class and type actor, and then you can rename that to canvas or whiteboard or whatever you remember. Okay, so now that we've created our materials and our render target and actor, we can now move on to working on them in order to create the drawing mechanic. So first of all, we're going to go on to our render target, our canvas render target, and all you need to do on this is adjust the size to what you want it. All I've done is changed it up to 512 on each of the sizes, X and Y, and all you need to remember is if you are going to change these, just remember that the bigger it is, the more demanding it becomes and takes up more resources. Okay, so now that that's done, we can move on to our materials. So for our whiteboard and canvas material, if we go on there, I've already got it set up, but I'll explain how to make it. So what we've got is a constant 4 factor to hold the base colors of the whiteboard and pen color. So if you press 4 and then right click, it will create it, and to make it a parameter you can right click on it and convert to parameter and just rename that either canvas or whiteboard. Okay, once you've created your constant 4 factors for the colors, we can move on to creating a texture sample for our canvas render target we made. So to get a texture sample, you can either hold down T and then left click on your mouse, or you just search in texture sample, and then all you have to do is find that render target, the canvas render target, whatever you named it, and then that's all set up there. So now if we move on, we want to get a multiplier node. So if you want that, you can hold down M or type it up to search, and then hook up the RGB into the B of the multiplier and the pen color into the A. Okay, so then we want to get a lerp. To get that, you can type in linear in, and you want to find linear interpolate, and then set it up so the whiteboard is in A, the multiplier is in B, and the texture sample is in the alpha. And then you want to plug in that lerp into the base color. And lastly, you want to just get a single constant, so either press 1 to get a single constant, or find it like this, and then just get a value of 1 or above and plug it into the roughness. Okay, so now that we've made the whiteboard material, we can start the whiteboard's marker material, or the pen material. So we are going to create this. Firstly, if you click on this, the material node, and go into the material section, we need to make the blend mode additive. So if you click on that and find it and set it to that, and then we want to make the shading model unlit. Okay, next we want to just come over here. So for this, we want to make a constant for parameter. So if you hold down 4 and click, or search up with this, and then convert to a parameter, and just name that draw location, and make sure you name it something you'll remember, because you need to use it later on. And then in this, you want to set the R and G value to 0.5. Okay, after that, you want to get this mask RNG, and to find that, you can type in component or compo and find the component mask. You want to then plug it in here, and then get a subtract node and plug it into the B, and get a text coordinate node. So text coordinate, texture coordinate, and plug that into the A. Then you want to get a vector length, type in vector length, then plug in this subtract node into the vector 2, and then out of the vector 2 you want to get another subtract node and plug that into the B like that, and then you want a constant value, so get a single constant and plug that into the top. The value for that is 1. Then out of this subtract node you want to get another subtract node and set up like this. Okay, next you want to get this -1 node, so if you put in 1 minus, and you will get this, and then you want to get a scalar node, so scalar parameter, and name that to size. This is another thing you will need to remember for later on. So then in this you want to set the default value to something fairly small, like 0.01, and then out of this size node we made, we want to get a divide node and make that a B, and out of this subtract node we want to clamp it and keep it to its normal values and plug it into the top of the divide node, and then you can plug this in to the emissive color, and that's it for this material. Okay, so now that the materials are done, we can move on to our blueprint. So if we go on to that, we can firstly add a component, and you want to add a static mesh right here, and for that you can set up just using a cube or your own model. For this to work though, if you're using your own model or anything else really, you want to double click and open up your model basically, and in the collision of the model you want to make sure the collision complexity, use complex collision as simple. Okay, so now that our static mesh is all sorted, we can go into the event graph. So firstly we want to get a event begin play, then we want to get this create dynamic material instance, and then in this parent we want to get our whiteboard marker material, and then from this we can just create a or promote to variable and name that to whiteboard marker, and then from here we want to clear the render target 2D and make sure this is set to your target render, or your render target even, and make sure that this clear color is just black as well. Next we want to make some custom events for actually drawing on the canvas. So what you want to do is create a custom event. I've named mine draw on whiteboard, and on that you want to create a input which is a vector 2D, and then when you've done that we want to get a reference to our whiteboard marker variable. So if you should have that down here in the variables, you should just be able to drag and get it, and then from that you want to drag it out and then type in set vector parameter values or value, and then you should get this node, and then in the parameter name you want to get or type in draw location, which is the name of this variable, or this constant for parameter. So we're getting that parameter, and then we are, so from here we are converting the vector 2D to a vector. So if you do convert to vector 2D, you should get this node, and then in the flow you just want to make it like 0.01 or 0.1 even, and then just drag it into this value here and it will convert it for you. And then from this whiteboard marker variable again, you want to drag it out and get draw material to render target, and then set that render target to the one we made, or mine's called paintboard, or whatever you called it. Now lastly we want to go on to our character. I made a third person character project, so I'm in that. So you would go into your character, and what I've done is I've got the left mouse button like input, and I've created a variable down here, a boolean that is just called isDrawing, where do if pressed isDrawing is true, and on release set to false. And then I've got a event tick here, down here, and we're gonna do a branch to check if we are drawing. Then after this, I've created a line trace by channel, which is just an invisible line that will get the end point basically and tell the game where we want to draw. So to create that, you just what I've done is I've got the start point of the line from the camera, so we get the third person camera, we get the world position or the world location even, and plug that into start. Then down here you get the forward vector of that camera, and then you want to do a vector times float. This bottom value here for the float is how long the line is, so how far away you can draw from basically. You want to then from this you want to get a vector plus this world location and plus this end value here, and then put that into the end bit. And you want to set your trace channel by the camera, and if you want to see what the line looks like, put the draw debug type to duration. Okay, next we are going to, so from our return value you want to get a branch, and out here you're going to drag it out and get a break hit result, and you can expand that. From that we want to get our hit actor as our whiteboard actor we made earlier. So if you do cast to whatever you named your canvas or whiteboard, and then plug that into true for the branch, and then out of this we're going to get our custom event we made called draw on whiteboard, or whatever you made in your whiteboard actor. And then from this out hit result you want to get find collision UV, and then you want to plug in the UV into this draw on whiteboard. Okay, so I believe that's everything. So if you want to try it out and see what happens, it should be working properly, hopefully, and if it isn't, I will link down some videos below of where I got these, where I got the information for creating this, and I'll link them below, and hopefully they can help you out. And yeah, that's about it. If you liked the video, make sure to subscribe and like down below, and if you have any ideas or just like for tutorials or new content or how I could improve the videos, put that down below in the comment section. And yeah, that's about it. See ya.